Hi, Dr. Hagmar here, and one of the most overlooked areas when it really comes to thyroid health is really the importance of optimal vitamin and mineral status. There's so many areas that are talked about when it comes to thyroid. Thyroid and energy, thyroid and fatigue, thyroid and sleep, thyroid and hormones. One of the very few areas that's ever talked about is just how important the vitamin and mineral status is to the thyroid. So we're going to spend some time talking about that today. We're also going to spend some time as it relates to hair, skin, and nails. So like I said, one of the most common areas that an imbalance of the thyroid or mineral status often shows up, again, when it has progressed far enough, is in the health of the hair, skin, and nails. Okay. Now it's really interesting because when working with women, I find that women are just more in tune with their bodies than men are. And so not a day goes by where a female patient, a woman patient, won't comment on just how much better her skin looks, or how much stronger her nails are, or even how areas of her scalp or her eyebrows have begun to regrow since starting our program. It's not every day that guys really comment on their hair and nails, right? So when it comes to your thyroid gland, it's an enormous influence on many, many areas of your body. The health and the appearance of the skin, like we just talked about, your metabolism, your ability to maintain a healthy weight. And finally, another major area that has to do with the thyroid gland is the ability for it to produce energy, right? So if your thyroid gland is underactive, meaning it's hypothyroid, what this really is going to show up in is skin is going to tend to become more dry, okay? You're going to start to notice lines in your face. You're going to start to notice wrinkles that appear, and they obviously become more and more noticeable the longer your thyroid problem exists. Now, some of the other symptoms that you may experience include things like fluid retention, okay? Puffiness in the face, swelling in the face, swelling in the legs. Sometimes, like I said earlier, you'll start to notice that the outer 1/3 of that eyebrow begins to fade away. And if that's not bad enough, you may find that you start to develop bags under your eyes, and you experience bloating and swelling in other areas of the body, like your abdomen, your fingers. Maybe you notice that your rings fit or are a little bit tighter. You may notice that your legs are swollen. One leg or one calf might be more swollen than the other. And then finally, of course, those ankles. Now, ultimately, an underactive thyroid gland is going to, without a doubt, it's going to just age you more rapidly. In fact, with many of the women that I work with in anti-aging medicine, the thyroid gland is really one of the key hub spots that we need to look at as it relates to aging, okay? So now, if you experience these symptoms, what I really want to do and what I really strongly suggest is that you contact my office and you request a free 20+ page guide that I really put together for you. Take a look at that. And what I find is that the biggest problem with hypothyroidism, at least part of why I put this report together, is because the biggest problem that I find with hypothyroidism is that's extremely common and it often remains undiagnosed for many, many years because, one, the reference ranges that most doctors use to diagnose a person with hypothyroidism, and because one of the most common symptoms experienced is fatigue. And so many men and women attribute that to just a busy lifestyle, right? You're just busy in life, you're stressed at work, you know, you've got a couple kids, you're not sleeping as good as you used to, and so essentially we just write it off as this warning sign where our body is essentially trying to tell us that something's wrong. Well, I'll tell you, if you combine this, outdated lab ranges that are being used by most doctors, and you combine that with our lifestyle factors, this is part of the reason why people's thyroid glands continue to get worse and worse and worse over time. Luckily, here's the good news. The good news here is that there are a lot of natural solutions that can restore thyroid health, and I would really encourage you to visit my website. And that website's www.drhagmeyer.com for those who want to look at it. But one of the explanations, okay, one of the reasons why I did this video is one of the explanations for this escalating incidence of thyroid problems is the fact of vitamin and mineral imbalances. Okay, now while I've talked about a lot of other different causes in other videos and other blogs, I want to spend a few minutes really reviewing the importance of adequate vitamin levels and mineral levels, okay? Number one is that your thyroid gland needs iodine, okay? Because thyroid hormones are actually built from this iodine molecule. And whether or not we're talking about T3 or T4, you know, it's either going to have 3 parts of iodine or 4 parts of iodine. But the central hub spot there is tyrosine, okay? Very, very important. Number two is your thyroid gland needs zinc, okay? Zinc is very important because, first off, zinc helps thyroid hormones bind to the receptor sites. And if you don't have a hormone that can bind its receptor site, that hormone never functions properly. And this can be responsible for a lot of the low thyroid symptoms that you might be experiencing. Number 3 on this list is selenium. Okay, selenium is critical because in part, one of the things that selenium does is it takes thyroid hormone, or T4, which is the inactive thyroid hormone, and what it's going to do is it's going to convert it into T3. Okay, so T3 is the active form of thyroid hormone. And it's very, very important that your T3 levels are where they should be. Okay. Number 4 includes, or should include, your B vitamins. Okay, now here's the problem that I see over and over and over again. Okay, when it comes to B vitamins, many women are either on birth control pills, they're on cholesterol lowering pills, men are on cholesterol pills, men are on antacids, and these drugs, by their very nature of how they exert their influence on the body, is really going to deprive the body of these B vitamins, specifically B6, B9, and B12. Okay, number 5 is choline. Many people don't realize how vital choline is to the health of the thyroid, but hypothyroidism negatively affects the choline function in the brain. And again, if we think about the relationship of the thyroid and the brain, we know that many, many people have problems with mood. They have what I consider brain fog, right? They have problems with memory. They find themselves irritable. And this in part is due to the necessity and the essential component of which choline plays in those cell membranes. Now, finally, is the importance of vitamin D, right? No discussion regarding the thyroid would really be complete if we didn't talk about vitamin D. Now, vitamin D levels are often low throughout the population because not only have we really been tricked into believing that the sun is bad and the sun causes cancer and, lop on, that sunscreen lotion, but for the most part, many people with low vitamin D have problems with the absorption of vitamin D. So if you're taking vitamin D and your D levels really aren't coming up, much of that has to do with the absorption. Okay. Now, this is by no means an all-inclusive list of the different vitamins and minerals that are really required for optimal thyroid function. But I do want you to realize just how important the role vitamins, some of those vitamins that we just described, play when we start looking at the bigger picture of really why the thyroid shuts down. You see, the thyroid doesn't shut down simply because there's not enough thyroid hormone in the body. There are a lot of things that have to be just right in order for the thyroid to work properly. And if all we're doing is putting thyroid medication into the body, making up for maybe lost thyroid hormones, but we're ignoring those zinc levels and those iron levels and those vitamin D levels and those different kinds of B vitamins, how can we ever expect the thyroid to really work properly? We can't, okay? So for more information on my natural approach to thyroid restoration, go ahead and visit my website, drhagmeyer.com, and then click on the Conditions tab, scroll down to the thyroid, and on that page, like I said earlier, I prepared a 20-plus page guide that explains so much more of what we do in detail. And I would also recommend that you read the article that I put together called 10 Steps to Supporting Thyroid Function, okay? Now, associated with those 10 steps, I've done 10 different videos that kind of describes these different aspects of thyroid physiology that we really need to pay attention to, okay? Well, I'm Dr. Hagmeyer. I hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you did, please get the word out. Share this with friends. Share this with family members. Share this with your loved ones. And until our next video, take care.